I've read about it. It's a phase in the design process where you gather participants, probably your target end users, and then you run a test, and you don't only listen to what they say, but you watch how they react when they are taking steps to a task you've assigned to them.
All
That's
right.
what I know about it.
All right.
Thank you.
That is good, TLC. So is there anyone else? Okay, so let's just dive into it straight. So today we won't actually be looking at what usability test is all about, because I believe that subsequent class you would really know more about it. But our focus for today will be like how to recruit the right participants for your usability studies and how to develop a test plan, right? So those are the two things that we'll be addressing today. So if someone should actually look at, sorry, let me minimize this. Okay, so as a designer, as a UX person, I believe that after your whole prototype, after the whole prototyping stage and all, the next stage for you and the one thing that will come to your mind is how do I select representative participants to actually test what we've done so far, right? And one thing that I know for sure is the key to successful testing is your response. And the right testers can actually identify problems that can cause you But one of the things that people actually uh, um, people are my router, I
Yeah, I can hear
guess.
you now.
Okay, so let me just start from the beginning then. So I said the first point is for you to know who your audience is, right? From your personnel, from drafting your personnel, from putting them into each categories. If you have 4 personnels, you should know that your usability testing would actually cover all your 4 personnels because you wouldn't want to leave anyone behind. Let's say you have, while doing your research, you have you try to categorize them into 3. When you want to run your usability test, you have to go back to basics and ask yourself, who are your users? Who do you want to target? Because your testers can be your regular customers. That is if the product is already in the market, or people who are most likely to use your product based on the data you have. Remember, you have a data when you were doing your research, right? And you should be able to construct who are the optimal users of your product. They are very, very important. There is nothing like my product is for everyone. Even though you want it to be accessible and you want it to be like, okay, fintech app, yes, you think it is for everyone, right? Deep down, you still have who you should actually focus on. Because coming up with a product, you have your target audience. No product can say that their product is for everyone. You already have like people that you feel would benefit more with that your product. And those are the people that you should actually consider when you want to choose participants for your usability testing. Then you have to specify your target group. Sometimes you need respondents who have it all, meaning that all kinds of motivations, behaviors, because there comes how many criteria are enough. Like, you don't really know the number of criteria that is enough. But if you specify your target group, that would actually help you a lot. So you just focus on that, your target group and your primary customer, your primary consumers rather. So this does not mean that you should ignore unique cases. Of course, you're not going to ignore other cases, but you actually think about them and incorporate them into the testing. But you just have to focus on this instead of the general crowd, right? And another thing that would actually help you if you want to choose participants for your usability testing is you should use the power of screeners to find the right respondents. And what I do most times if I want to recruit, or let's say I want to choose participants for usability testing, I would also share you one of the documents that I've done in the past when anytime I want to do a usability testing. A great tool for selecting the most useful tester is to use a screener, like a screening questions, right? You can just write a short questionnaire that can determine whether testers are suitable. You can't just pick. Just because they're in your target group doesn't mean you just pick. You can just come up with a short questionnaires and share it, or put, if the product is live already, if the product is live, there's a widget, yes, there's a widget that you can put on your platform where users that are willing to participate can pick or can select. So from the response, you would know that, okay, these are the people that I would like to take or recruit for my usability testing. And just imagine that you are using internet banking regularly, right? You can ask questions just such as, how often do you use internet banking? Do you get? You like this part, you'll be able to, there will be every day, there will be different options like every day, once a week, once a month, you can also ask them that, where do you use it? All these ones would help you know and screen the type of respondent that you want. Because if you put it that, okay, how often do you use internet banking? You can't pick someone that uses it just once in a month. Doesn't that mean that you can't have that person as part of your participants? But maybe you need someone or people that use it every day or once a week. Do you get? So can come up with a short questionnaire to pick like people that you wish or people that you want to recruit. And you can also ask questions about their occupation, their age, location, and all that before you recruit people. Another one is how to reach and contact respondents for usability testing. Sorry, this is a typographical error. This is not user testing, usability testing. Yeah, so moving forward after this slide, I have a part where that'll show you how to recruit and where to recruit respondents from. Because many professionals or agencies will do the whole process for you. There are some agencies that the only thing that they focus on is usability testing. Like, they would help you to recruit people. And of course, they can even help you to even do this. But as a UX person, in an organization, one of your duties is to ensure that you carry out efficient usability testing. So now, how do you want to reach out to people? How can you get people? We'll be talking about that in the next slide. Like, okay, what are the means that you can use to get people to actually help you with this, your particular prototype that you have? And the last thing is, don't test with your colleagues or family members. Fine, there is something called internal testing, but you really want to test the usability of your product. You have your internal testing with your team, with the stakeholders, to go through the platform, to give you feedback on the platform so that you can work on it. But they are not really your target audience. You have people that you want to them to interact with your platform. And those are the people that you should actually test with, not your colleagues, not your family members. Because not like you can't test with them, but they won't give you the right data that you want. They won't give you the right feedback that you want. Like seeing or getting feedback or data from people, like the right audience, your main customers or consumers, would actually take you far than just testing with family members. So am I moving too fast before I move to the next slide? Am I moving too fast? Can you hear me?
No, you are not.
Okay, I'm hearing
So I know that one of oh I am okay. Let me just wait down. Why is it disconnecting, for God's sake? Another question that people ask is, how many respondents are enough for you to use? Now, there is this article that I read that as a UX researcher or a UX person, you should actually make use of just 5 respondents, because that is enough for you to achieve anything you want to achieve. In some exceptional cases, right, you would have to use more than that. Now, the number of participants you need to recruit for your UX depends on 2 things: the method that you want to use and your studies goal. You have the goal, right, and the method that you want to use. I can say that studies can be evaluated using statistical analysis methods. And in this case, you can use 10 or 20 respondents. It depends. You can use 20 participants per experimental condition. It depends on your study group and study goal and the method that you want to use. But the reason why 5 participants is the magic number of usability testing is it doesn't make sense to test as many participants as possible, right? Usually 5 are sufficient, as they should cover like 85% of the usability problems in a product. If you should test with 5 respondents and you pick them very well, like you pick your participants very well, you will get like 85% of the usability problems in a product. Instead of recruiting like 20, 30, you don't really need large number. But if you have like 3 personnel, like 3 focus groups, like 3 different groups of audiences, right? What you have to do is you have to recruit separately for these people and test separately. Let's say I have a platform, a data analysis kind of platform, and it's focused on IT, it's focused on sales, it's focused on merchants. I have different personnel. I would ensure that for each of my personnel, I recruit different participants, different 5 participants for them, because I wouldn't want to use just 1, or I recruit 10 and spread it across the 5 groups or across the 5 personnel, which means if I should have 5 personnel and I recruit 10 participants, I should spread it across the 5 personnel, or I should recruit 5 participants per personnel instead of recruiting like 20 or 30. So you can just simplify it. But if you have just 1 personnel, right, you only have 1 set of people that you want to focus on, you only need like 5 respondents, like 5 participants. Shouldn't do more than. But if necessary, can run additional tests if necessary. But if it is not, 5 is just enough to do that. So is there any question before I move forward? Is there any question before I move forward? Please respond. You can use the chat or unmute. Okay. I have a question anyways, but that is after the whole thing. Since you don't have any for me, I have for you. So, okay, no, I'm not saying the minimum. How many you recommend for an interview? Okay, do you mean minimum is 5 participants? No, minimum is not 5 participants, right? I'm saying like the number, like the highest in some exceptional cases, right? You can recruit more than 5, but on an average, 5 is okay for you, no minimum. Like 5, you are fine with 5 participants. You don't have to test with 10 people because it is what you will get if you test with 10 is almost the same thing. Testing with 5 shows that you get 85% of your problems, right? So on an average, 5 participants is fine for your usability testing. Only if, like in some exceptional cases, you want to do additional tests. That is when you can now do like, okay, let me test for more. But really, you don't really need more than 5 participants. Okay, so how many participants will you recommend for an interview? Like, you mean interview, UX research, or for usability testing? IRAT, please clarify that. Okay, so I feel like for an interview, it depends on your study goals. The highest that I have done is 5. If I need, like, that is for qualitative research, right? If I need like more respondents, like if I need more people, if I need quantitative respondents, I will use questionnaires, which is the quantitative research, right? If I need enough respondents, I will just use a questionnaire. But if I need to just interview, I don't go more than 5. Like sometimes I only do like 3, and that's all. Because I just want what is it called? I just want the quality, like I just want to hear, just pick randomly from my user, from my target group, and just interview them. Can you give an example of an exceptional case? Okay, so an exceptional case that I talked about is the personnel part of it, where I said that if you have a product that the scope is very wide, right, where you have more than 2 personnel, of course, 5 participants won't do you, because if you have 3 personnel, like 3 target groups, you have 4 target groups, you can't recruit 5 participants. Is it that you do 5 each, or you do 3 each, or you do, let's say, 4 each, but you shouldn't go below 2 if you have more than 4 participants or 3 participants. So let's continue. Okay, so why 5 participants is the magic number is, like I said, that if you aim to do, we have qualitative and you have quantitative, right? If you want to do just qualitative, you can just use 5, because there is no point recruiting 10 people, like I said earlier. Like it will uncover 85% of your usability problems if you do 5. You want to do qualitative testing, right? Not quantitative. If you need quantitative, that is, you can, instead of doing this usability testing, like, okay, giving it to user to test while you monitor them, probably remotely, or whether moderated or unmoderated, right? You can use your Google Analytics. If you want quantitative, like you need plenty data, like if you need plenty data, like a lot of data, you can use apps like Hotjar. All those things will be addressed later during the other phase. I believe classes would actually talk about that, like how you can do quantitative research using Google Analytics to get more data, and another app like Hotjar and the rest. But if you just want to do like a usability testing of your prototype, 5 participants is fine. So yes, the thing is, how should you screen your participants as a UX person, as a UX designer? I made mention of widgets the other time. Like if you already have a product, like a live product in the market, you can, like, for you to screen them, you can just screen, you can use questionnaire, like I mentioned when I started talking, like use questionnaire, send a questionnaire to, like, you already have database of your users, or that is if it is an existing user. But if it is not an that is if it is an existing product. But if it is a new product, you already have your target group, and I believe that you've had like conversations with them when you were doing your research. So you can just, during the usability testing phase, you can send them questionnaire again to know more about it, like to see if they are interested in it. Or if it is a live project, put a widget. There are a lot of widgets that you can use to see if people are actually interested in testing your products. That way you can screen participants. You know, you've already done your due diligence, you know your target group, you know how you should recruit them, but how will you know if they're actually willing to test? You've done your own parts, but you need to be sure that they are also willing to test, because you need data, like you need correct data. And most times people don't really like giving their opinion when it comes to testing, because one thing that they will feel is, what if this person would feel bad if I open up? Do you get? So all this screening is important to really see if they are interested in the testing phase. So yeah, after that, you can look at channels. There are different channels that you can use to recruit, what is it called? That you can use to recruit participants. There are a lot of channels. You can use agencies, right? There are agencies, like working with agencies or other recruiting services is especially useful if you want to test with a broad target group under time constraints. Because I won't lie to you, recruiting people or participants for usability testing is stressful. It's not as easy as we think, like, okay, I can just pick these people. If you really want to get good data, like you really want to have data, like correct data, you can't just handpick people from your target group, right? So it is stressful that you think, but it is also fun. But all these recruitment agencies, they made it easy for people, because especially if you are looking like at a target group, like a broad group of people, and you have little time, you are under time constraints, you don't have time to, screening people, to be doing all that. There are agencies that already have that. And another thing is email lists, right? You already have a mailing list containing people with the characteristics you are looking for. Like, for example, a list of existing users of a similar or previous version of the product you are testing. Maybe users that have used something similar to what you want to test, or the previous version. That is if it is an existing product. You already have version 1 in the market or version 2 in the market, right? You have your mailing list. But if it is not an existing product, you already have similar, like users that are using similar products. So you can just look at it, take your time to, if there is time, take your time to look at it and all. Then another channel that you can use aside email listing, recruitment agencies, is people who are close to your company can be recruited via pop-ups on your website, right? Or on your platform, like making announcements on your company's social media pages or via your newsletter. Like I got one email, wasn't it last week? One of the product that I signed up for they are recruiting for usability testing, like they are recruiting participants to test their new version. Do you get? So they sent out newsletter. Some of them actually put it on their social media. Some of them use Twitter. Some like few designers have reached out to me on Twitter to ask if I would love to test their product. I don't know if I am one of their target group, But of course, I believe for them to reach out to me, maybe they feel I am one of their target groups. So you can recruit participants via pop-ups on your website, email list, recruitment agencies, and other ways to address external participants are online ads, like social media channels, all those kind of things. Like, let's say you have Facebook groups, like Slack communities that are tied to your target audience. That's why most of these products now have communities. Do you know the reason why they have communities is because after launching or subsequent, like if they want to release new features, it will be easy for them to test from the communities that they build. They've already done that part. They built the communities. So it will be easy for them to just go to that community of their target group and just pick participants from there straight away. Is there any question before I move to the next part? Are you with me? Because I want to know if I'm not moving too fast. I'm waiting. Okay, so please just let me know if I should continue or I should slow it down a bit. Okay. Yeah, I'll continue. So yes, of course, the reason why you have those communities is because anytime you have new features or you want to do rebrand or something, it is for you to go back to that group that you created and get, test with them, hear from them, see how they would react. If you check most of, I've seen 3 to 4 blockchain companies that have their own communities. Even, in fact, not even fintech, other industries are now trying to have communities, build communities towards that product that they are building, because that would help you. Recruiting participants is hectic, it is stressful. If you want to do it, a lot of things will be running through your head, God, how am I sure that these are the right? Because it is anything that you show the stakeholders that they would believe. And if there is error from anything from the recruitment stage, any data that you get during the testing phase will, let me say, might not be that strong, considering the fact that you want something that would help you, you want facts, you want good data. So recruitment phase is, let me say, is the toughest, because getting the right participants isn't that easy. So, okay, I've talked about this. Okay, so that is all about recruiting participants for your usability studies. And I believe that moving forward, if you want to test a product, you already know how to recruit participants, what you should look out for if you want to test, if you want to recruit participants, right? Because all these things really, really, really matter. Yeah, the next phase is checklist for planning usability studies. There are checklists, because let me say checklists. No, not limited to this, but I feel like these are the things that guide me anytime I want to start planning my usability studies. And after this, I would show you one of the documents that I have prepared for my usability studies that is moving forward. After this whole class, I would explain how I came up with the plan, the documents, and what are the things I actually look at. But let's take this checklist one after the other. Have it in mind that every usability study is different depending on your goals, your constraints, your research, the research method that you used. You get, it is different. You can't use like it is, even if it is the same product, right? I see usability testing as a continuous thing. Just because you use this type of method when you're about to launch a product doesn't mean it will be that same thing that you would do, like if you want to continue testing it when it is live. So it is different and depends on the goals, what you want to achieve, and the return on your research investments. All these things really, really matter. But the first thing that matters is you should define goals for the study. Define the goals means you should meet with the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders, right? I believe you know who the stakeholders are in your company. So meet with the stakeholders to determine what they want to learn. You have to identify the questions, their areas of interest, the purpose of the research, because usability testing, or let me say usability studies, are into two. We have the qualitative and you have the quantitative behavioral data. So if you don't define your goals for the study, it will be hard for you to even know the type of participants or the type of metrics that you want to get, because the first thing is understanding these goals. And these goals will be with your stakeholders. You all know what you want to develop, like the plan for the test. How are we going to come up with this? What are the things that we want to look out for? You are the UX designer, you are the UX person, you are the one to facilitate this particular process, because they really do not know much about it. But if you facilitate it, let them know what are the things that we want to look out for, what are the things that we want to measure, what are the metrics, what are the goals. This thing would help you to understand or plan your usability studies. Another one is you have to determine the format and setting of the study. You will be exposed to the main usability testing in the next class, but this is just to prepare your mind ahead of, okay, how does it even work? How does usability study work, right? So you have to determine the formats of the study, because there are different formats. Do you want in-person or remote, right? These are the formats that you really need to consider before you even start to recruit people. Do you want in-field or you want in-lab? You should actually determine this, if it will be in-house, face-to-face. If it is face-to-face usability testing, is it going to be moderated or unmoderated? Moderated studies provide you with richer insights and opportunities. Yes. So you have to look at it. Do we want something moderated or unmoderated? Do you want it to be in person or you want it to be remote? Like all these formats, after setting the format, after doing that as a UX person, you already know the format that you want. Like, okay, I want to go with remote study, right? Okay, after doing that, what is the next thing? You have to determine the number of users that you want. And like I said earlier, I generally recommend 5 participants for the best return on investment, because one of the ways where you can get the best return on investment is your usability study. And you wouldn't want to spend too much time doing that. You don't want to spend a lot of time. 5 participants is what I would recommend for the best ROI. If your research, let me say, if your research involves more than one target user group, then you need to adjust the number. Like I said earlier, let's say 2 to 5 per group. I said it, like if you have more than one target group, like you have more than one user group, then you have to adjust the number of participants. Like let's say 2 to 5 per group. You can do 2 per group, you can do 3, you can do 4, but it shouldn't exceed 5 per group, right? And depending on the level of experience between the groups. So that is it. Sometimes you may need at least 20 to 30 participants. It depends, right? It depends on what you want to measure. Sometimes you may need at least 20 to 30 participants. And that is if your target group is broad, if your user group is very broad, and what you really want to measure would determine the number of users that you would recruit. Then the next thing is Another checklist is after determining the number of users. Okay, you already know that you need to recruit just 5 users. How are you going to recruit these right participants? I discussed that in the previous slide, right? How you can recruit the right participants and what you should actually look out for. Because recruiting right participants is the greatest part of all. So let's skip that part. We've already addressed that. The next thing that you should look out for is you should write tasks that match the goals of the study. You already have tasks that you want. You already have your goals, right? Your goal is to know the success metric, right? I'm just giving an example. Success metric and see how people would interact, the number of drop-off, all those things. Now, you already have your goals. You have to write out the task that will match the goals. And I will show you example in this document that I prepared, how I came up with my own task that match my goals. I have my goals. And you already need to write out the task, because the task is what the participants that you have will do. What you need them to do that will get you that data is the task. So you have to write the task that will be in line with the goals that you have. Yeah, the next part is conduct a pilot study. What I mean by conducting a pilot study is pilot study is not your usability testing, right? It's not the usability testing, but it will help you to fine-tune the word that you use. And this is how you can run a pilot study. You already have your questions, which is your task rather. You already have your task. You have your target users. You've recruited your participants. The pilot study is just to see a pre-study, should I say a pre-usability testing? More like something that would help you to fine-tune if you use the right choice of word. Like you can just run it with few people, just help maybe few people out of your target audience. You can just pick 2 people to quickly conduct a pilot study. And this one is good because it will give you clarity if they really get the description of the task that you have. Do you get? And if they don't misinterpret it, because if they should misinterpret the task that you have, you won't be able to get what you need to get. So conducting a pilot study would help you to see that the task that you have on ground, the users can really understand the task that you've written before you even share it with them. And then after conducting your pilot study, you've done your pilot study, you've already shared it out. You have to decide on collecting metrics. The main purpose of qualitative usability studies is to gain insights with few users. That is one of the main purposes, because you want to gain insight. You need data with few users. And metrics are unlikely to be representative for your whole population. You only pick few people and you just want to collect metrics. Your metrics can be the success rates, the time on task, the satisfaction ratings, and error rates. We have different metrics that you can look at. We have different metrics that you can use, different metrics that you can check. Do you want to check the success rates? Do you want to check the error rates? Do you want to check the satisfaction ratings? Or how much time do they really spend in doing this task? Those are the things that you really want to look at, right? Does it take them 10 minutes to sign up? Does it take them 2 minutes to sign up? What are the problems that they encounter when they want to navigate this particular feature? Okay, they want to withdraw. What are the things that they are actually facing? And that is why usability testing would actually help you get all these metrics. And after deciding on the metrics that you want to collect, okay, you've already decided that you want to collect the success rates. You've already decided you want to collect the satisfaction ratings or the error rates. It depends on the usability metrics that you want. After deciding on that, you now have to write a test plan. A test plan is very important because it is a document. You have to figure out how you are going to conduct the research, like the testing. You have to document your approach in a test plan and share it. Remember, you are not the only one that will be involved in this usability testing, in this usability study. You will also have, you can get help from your developers to join you and observe. That is if you want to do in-person usability testing, they can help you to observe and take notes. So that is the reason why writing a test plan is important, because you have to share your test plan with not only your users but your stakeholders. You have to share it with your developers and everyone that will be actively involved in the testing. So, and the document doesn't need to be lengthy. You don't actually need a lengthy document. You just need, let's say, the name of the product. You need the stuff, time, the date, the location, the format of the study. The format can be like in person, it can be remote, moderated or unmoderated. You need participant profiles. You need their profile to be part of the test plan. You need tasks, like what are the things that you want them to do? What are the things that you want them to achieve? You need metrics, metrics that you want to measure. Are you looking at the success rates? Are you looking at the time spent and all that? And description of the system. Is it mobile? Is it desktop? You know, all those things you will come together in your test plan. And yes, like I said earlier, you have to motivate team members to observe sessions. When I was doing my own user testing, I had a call with the developers. I only 2 developers, and my product manager joined me in observing session. I wasn't in Lagos when I did the usability testing, but I did it remotely. Did a remote, I will show you how I came up with it. I did a remote testing, like a remote usability study. So you have to motivate your team members to observe sessions. You can, because there'll be some things. The reason why I would encourage you to motivate them is there'll be some things that you can't or you won't notice that they would notice. So all these things would help you to be like, oh, you know, they'll give their own opinion that, okay, when the user is trying to do this, something like this happened. Do you get? So everyone's opinion counts during usability study. Everyone on the like all the team members. So having your stakeholders, excuse me, please. Having your stakeholders observe moderated testing sessions, you know, see them observe, see your team, invite your stakeholders, at them, you know. And also, food is always a good motivator. You don't want to invite people, or not only your participants, even your team members. You need to motivate them, not only by food. There are a lot of things that you can use to reinforce that approach and be like, oh, okay, we want to, probably it can be like airtime, it can be money, it can be anything, right? You need to really motivate them. You can't just invite people. If it's, in fact, it can be like 2,000 naira. It depends on the budget that you have, or it depends on how you feel like you want to compensate them with the effort and everything that they've done. But don't ever run a usability testing or usability study without motivating either your team members or your participants, like people that are actually doing the work. Because really, if you don't, maybe some of them would even hold back with some good response. But if you let them know that these are the things that they would actually get, not like you are trying to bribe them, but you're trying to tell them that we really appreciate your time. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate everything that you need. Like, because they are taking out time to come and test your products, you need to compensate them. the reports, you know, after all you have your test plan that you really need to put into place for planning your usability studies. You have to understand that you have to compile your reports and share with stakeholders at the end of this. And compiling reports means that you have to analyze that, okay, you have to analyze these are the reports that we have in the error parts. Users spend more than, let's say, 20 minutes trying to figure out how to withdraw. Users find it difficult to even register, which means they can't even register, not to talk of using your product. So those are the kind of reports and all this would actually help you moving forward in the iteration process. So this is just like a sample of a usability test plan. This is a sample, like just small sample. You can see how they came up with it. Though my own different, because my own is quite different from this. I like using Google Doc instead of a template. I came up with my own because I know what I want to look out for. I know what my goal is. I know what it should cover. I know who my parts. This is all about checklist for planning usability studies. So before I move forward to share with you one of the documents that I've done in the past, I would like to understand or get if you have any questions before I move to this phase of sharing one of my documents, one of my usability testing documents. I love when you ask questions because that way I would know that I'm not just talking. I want to understand that you get what I'm saying. So the floor is open. Okay. You can go ahead. Unmute.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. My name is Wally. Okay,
Your name is what?
My name is Wally.
Okay, yes, I'm with you.
Okay, yeah. For the last point, compiling a report, does the compilation of reports will it be part of the case study we are to generate at the end of the project?
No. Now
Okay,
compiling reports.
okay.
Okay, yeah, continue.
Okay, so the reports, you know, in the case study, everything,
Yes.
every process of the project, from the user research stage up to the wireframe and the user testing stage, it has to be compiled in a case study. Now, so from the compilation of reports, everything we have gathered from the testing, so it won't be part of the formation of the case study.
It will, of course.
Okay.
It will, but the case study that you mean, are you saying the case study of your product? Like you want to write a case study on the product you are working on?
Yes, a case study.
Okay, so let me now explain this compiling report. You know, you have a goal for usability testing, right? And the reports for your usability testing is quite different from all the case study. You have to put the reports there, of course, when you want to write your case study. Because what happened when you are done with your testing, all these things are reports that you really need to give. Do you get? So your report will be part of your case study, but you can't get reports. What do you even want to report without usability testing?
Yeah,
Or
okay,
maybe I should just find
now
again.
I get it.
Okay, so let me add to it that is to make it clear how the testing was done, and so that it can be repeated if necessary, and to also convince stakeholders that the participants' findings are significant enough to act upon. Do you get that?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Yes. So that is just the goal of the report. It's
Okay.
just to clear the, how the testing was done, and if you can still, you have to convince your stakeholders that participants' findings are significant enough to act upon. You get, the metrics now. So that's it. Another one.
Good morning.
Good morning. Someone said my
So,
audio is going off and on. Please, is it true? I would love to go over some parts if you missed any. I just want. Oh, okay. The next person can talk.
okay, good morning. So my question is, when you are conducting usability testing, is it the prototype that you are going to use that's for the user to interact with? Or how do you go about the usability testing? Is it using your lo-fi or your hi-fi? Then also, what tool can you recommend for someone who is going to carry out usability testing? What tool would you recommend the person use?
Okay, so let me start from the first question that you asked me, right? You said that, sorry, rephrase.
So I said the first question is that when you are going to conduct usability testing, is it that you are going to use the prototype or
Okay,
you use
yeah,
either the lo-fi or the hi-fi design?
okay,
Which will you
okay, yeah.
use?
All right, so let me start from that. For me personally, if there is then time constraints, let me use the word time constraints. If there is enough time for you to test your prototype before development, it will save you a lot of stress. And that is what I would actually recommend. Test your prototype before development, because that way if you have to reiterate if it is onboarding or some part of products, or even if there is one part that the users are not even interacting with, do you get? So I would just recommend prototype. But for anything that want to go lean in the sense that there is no time for you to even test a prototype, right? You have to paint. If there is no time for you to test the prototype of your design, which I recommend you test that. But say that the another phase is you testing after it has been developed. So just because you test the prototype doesn't mean you won't test it when it has been developed, like during the developmental stage. So you have to do the prototype and also do it after development. But if you skip the prototype phase, ensure you don't skip that development phase. You want people to interact with it. You want to get data. You don't just want to launch. No matter how limited time you have, you just have to test it. So and then for tools, I once used Maze before. I don't know. Let me type it here. I don't know if you know about Maze. Yes, I've used Maze before. So if you can just go through their website, you will understand it is done. It is simple to use. There is free and paid. But if you are doing the free one, you won't have access to some features. It's not all the features that you have access to. You only have access to few, maybe just little participants. Do you get what I'm trying to say? They can check Maze for your usability testing. Is there a product that require usability testing? All products. Even physical product. Now, let me use physical product as an example of usability testing. I want to use my own experience. Physical products like Multina, all this kind of other products. If they want to launch a new recipe or a new type of should I say, someone should please borrow me English. They want to launch a new, I want to use if they want to launch a new drink, yeah, a new flavor. Thank you so much. So if they want to launch a new flavor, do you know that they don't just launch to the market? They will have to be like, okay, they'll do sample of the flavors and probably go to any nearest or organize an event and launch the product. Let people test that flavor. Let's see how people would react to the flavor. Let's get people's reaction. So no matter the product, whether digital, whether physical, any type of products require usability testing. Front of the church, they want to launch a new flavor, Maltina, or is it Maltina or Schweppes, or I've forgotten the name of that brand. They came and yes, Maltina, they want to launch, and they just put it there. Everyone, they started giving it out for people for free. Meanwhile, they are trying to get our insights and let us know, like they want to know if it's truly worth their time and see how people would react. So not now talk of digital product that people would use. So all products user testing. So I think I've answered that with examples. So let me walk you through one of my documents. So let me walk you through one of my documents. I have, can you still see my screen before I move forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I prepared this document when I was trying to carry out the usability study of one of my company's products, right? And as a UX person, I facilitated this approach. I let them see. The first thing that I did was to sit them organized, what is it called? A small talk, a small meeting, to let them see why we need to test this thing, what's the ROI, the return on investments of this usability study that we want to do. So after doing that, I came up with a document so that they would understand very well. The first is the purpose and scope of this study. And I put it here that is to evaluate the end-to-end experience of our product intending users as they interact with the press office. Press office is the name of the product. It is not yet out. But when we want to do usability testing, I let them see that the purpose of this study is to evaluate the end-to-end experience of our intending users as they interact with the product. It is a new product. So collecting this data will provide the study team with. So I came up with what the data would actually provide us with, like the study team, what are the things that would actually get? Behavioral observations, like which are the insights into the current user experience that we have, insights into design solutions, that is how we can improve and strengthen the experience, then information on the current experience. Do you get what are the things, so these are the things I came up with. What are the scope and purpose? You have to come up with this as a UX person. Then after that, I decided that, okay, what is the type of method I want to use? My research questions, right? What are the way that I want to collect my data? Is it qualitative and quantitative data? Now, I use both when I was testing. I use both qualitative and quantitative. And qualitative is me trying to observe how they interact remotely, right? How they use the product remotely. But do you know another thing that I did? The quantitative way of the way that I used to collect the quantitative data is I plugged in Hotjar to our platform. Like I used Hotjar, not what is it called? Not Google Analytics. Now at that point, my team were like, or let me say the stakeholders were like, why should they subscribe to Hotjar? So far we have Google Analytics. And the only way that I used to convince them is I need quantitative data, I need qualitative data. But Hotjar has a free plan. So I created a free trial with with our company's account, to let them see the reason why I chose Hotjar over Google Analytics. I need its maps. I need to know drop-off rates, because it is remotely. Aside the fact that I observed 2 out of our participants, I shared link with the others, and they only gave me reports, which means I wasn't there when they were doing it. But I plugged in an app that will let me get the drop-off rates. Where are they having issues? Which of the pages do I think like I need to improve on? So these are the things that I came up with. Then the study design. I said we will conduct a remote and in-person usability study using Google Meet. Yes, I use Google Meet for the remote, and I only did my my PM did the in-person because I wasn't in Lagos to choose one of our target audience. So these are the things I also came up. I would duplicate this page and share with you so that would guide you if you want to do yours. I would duplicate and remove some important information and share with you after this class. Maybe if you read that, instead of me explaining, it is straightforward. You see how it's so simple, not something that is hard. Like you can see the way my study team, myself, my product manager, the lead software engineer, and the CEO. Those are the people that I use as my study team. Though 2 interns later joined, but these are the main study team. And how many weeks? I later used 2 weeks. Yes. And I came up with tasks. Can you see, like, each of them would have their task. And these are the tasks that I came up with that I feel like they should do. So I will just share this. Let me duplicate this. I really don't want to forget. So I'll duplicate and share with you. Make a copy, yeah. Okay, so what I would just do is just remove some important information and share it to you. You see the way I create my scenario, the way I created my task, the way I created my task questionnaires, the number of scenarios that I have, my overall qualitative usability task, my overall in-test questionnaires. These are the questions that I want to ask them after the whole testing. Because after the testing, I came up with overall in-test questions, to ask them, follow up. You can also put this on your platform, more like a question pop up when they are testing. And these are the tasks that I gave them to do when they were testing these products. So I will share this after this class. And yes, I'll share it on Slack after this class. That is the end of today's class. I hope you gain 1 or 2 things. I'm still open for questions before we call it a day. Okay, Dave, you can go ahead.
Hi, sorry, just a quick question. See if you're doing your usability testing and you're a freelancer, where does the budget came from? So is it included in the budget you charge the owner from the start, or like you have to get the budget from your own finance? Sorry.
Okay, so the company will be the one to, do that part. You don't take it from your own and you don't assume, right? Because until you are done with the product and you want to start planning your usability testing, that is when you would know how you want to compensate them and the budget, the money that will go into all these things. Jay gets. So, but you will have to inform them that, okay, there will be some budget that we have to incur when we want to do these stuffs.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
Jay gets it. But can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, my internet. You asked what, Dave? Do you get that? Or
Yeah. I got you. Yeah, sorry. Your internet was a bit breaking, so yeah, but I could hear what you're saying. Cheers.
all right. Do you have any other thing before we call it a day?
Can you hear me?
Okay. Oh yes, I can.
Okay. So when you are, for example, you are testing for the, you decide to invite people over a Google Meet to test for the product. So I guess for them to be able to go through the products, I guess you have to share with them the prototype link for them to be able to interact with it. Why
Of course.
get to see them use it when you are using Google Meet. If you decide to use Google Meet, is that how it works? Like that's the way to go about it.
Of course, you have to share this thing with them.
Okay, so they'll just go through it. You have to like they share their screen with you, then you see how they are interacting with it, and they can also give you feedback instantly.
Can you hear me? Someone said,
The network is a bit bad. I can hear you now.
okay, can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay, yes. So for the remote testing, which is the Google Meet kind of thing, what I did was I shared the link with them via an email and time and all. So when we started the whole testing phase, they just shared, because it happened to be a web app. So they just shared their screen and they started interacting with it, and that was it. But I shared the link with them before we started the whole testing phase.
Okay, so looking at what you just said, so for you to be able to use Google Meet, which is like your testing, so the project will have to be live for it to be able to work. So you can't use like a low-fi or an high-fi prototype to do that. Is it
Okay,
possible
you
to do
can.
that?
You did your prototyping, right? There are different ways you can prototype that. They can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, of course. You can do your high fidelity with that. Like you can do remote testing with your high fidelity, like with your prototype, right? Because you've already done the prototyping. You just have to share the link with them. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, well understood. Thank you.
Are we fine or we have more? Okay, so I will share this slide and this particular document with you on Slack immediately after this call, so that you can always make reference and also check the slide if there's anything you don't understand. I don't think we have any other thing to talk about, but that is all for today. So we'll meet during the next class. You can reach me on Slack to Rihanna, I think, yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, there are other tools aside Maze. Someone asked this. Linda, okay. Oh, Morenike, yes, we have another tool aside Maze. There's this user testing platform itself. There is what is it called? There's this other one that I checked. Oh, I've forgotten. But we have to come up. I will share some with you. I will share some with you on Slack. I have it on my thing. I'll share it with you. But I've used Maze very well. So that's why I recommended Maze. But I'll share others with you. So we'll meet later, let's say, in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Have a lovely day, everyone.